Why do people say unhoused now instead of homeless? It's called the euphemism treadmill. Look it up. A word becomes derogatory, so we change it, and then that word becomes derogatory, so we change it again ad infinitum. Yeah, house versus home, meant to emphasize the main issue is a housing distribution problem than people lacking the more abstract concept of a home. In my opinion, it's just more fancy wordplay for lazy modern activists to pretend they're making a difference. I was homeless for a couple months. I'd much rather have had a bed to sleep on than some snooty idiot telling people to call me unhoused instead. If I live in an RV because I lost my house, I could call my RV home, although I am most certainly unhoused. I lived in a hotel for a year once. We called it home. When I was young, I spent a month living in a tent by a lake in the Cascade Mountains. We were happy with our little home. And yet, I lived in a house for a couple months with people I could hardly stand. I would have never called that house my home. We're switching the words up again, since I assume anyway that people are using homeless as a derogatory term too much. It's not inherently derogatory, and people are clearly the problem, not the words. But words are easy to change. People are not. It puts the blame on society for not housing the people instead of the people for not having houses. I think unhoused, or person experiencing homelessness, is meant to imply that it's a temporary state that a person is in, rather than their long-term identity. Homeless person suggests that this is someone who does and always will live on the street. In Australia, homeless people are called rough sleepers. State engineer here who works in a position where I regularly with the public. We don't even call them unhoused anymore for reasons I can't fathom, but do comply with. We're mandated to refer people in that situation as unsheltered. It's a little bit of euphemism treadmill and a little bit of activists trying to draw attention to the fact that most of the people without homes at any given time don't look like the long-term homeless at all. They just transiently don't have housing and live out of their cars, etc. It's the same BS as saying someone unalived themselves instead of saying they committed suicide. Lots of lip service and fighting over what word sounds best instead of ever actually doing anything meaningful, effective to tackle the problem itself. In my opinion, it's to try and get away from the negative connotation of the word homeless. Pretentiousness. Unhoused mean no house. Living in a car is unhoused. Homeless means no home. Living on someone else's couch is homeless. All unhoused people are also homeless. The terms were originally made to distinguish two separate problems. Unhoused people often don't have access to showers or other basic things houses provide. Homeless might have access to those but may lack, say, a permanent address. People trying to help homeless and unhoused came up with the separate terms as shorthand to describe different situations as they face different problems. The words are simple and clear and describe two different experiences. But for normal people who aren't providing homeless services or are sociologists, just say homeless. Comedian sounds like a real gem. Unhoused sounds strange to me, like you could use it to describe someone who lives in an apartment. Some people use homeless as a noun, while unhoused is an adjective. Using it as a noun sort of strips the individual of their human status, their individuality. They're homeless. They are, and always will be homeless. They're not people, not like you and me. As opposed to, they are unhoused people. Their state of being housed is temporary. They are people, like you and me. That's the theory that I've been told. They are just free-range humans. Come on. Terms fall in and out of favor in the functional homeless, unhoused. The ones you don't see acting a fool in public are the ones looking for changes in the terms. There are many ways to make a home, depending on your preferences. Once upon a time, I lived in a van by myself. It was all the home I needed. I paid for an overnight spot in national parks with shower facilities or traded skills at truck stops for shower privileges and a power hookup. I have lived in a lot of arrangements that could be considered homeless. That did not prevent me from feeling the places were home, because home is where the heart is. Home is where you feel an attachment, even if home is not a traditional house. Because somebody living in their car, out of necessity not choice, may count their car as their home, but they are still unhoused. Why is everyone now your partner, and not your wife or husband?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.